Hey, what's happening, everybody? Robert Phoenix here, coming back at you live from the Hill Country. It is 11/2, just one day before the really, really big show, the election, which has it's going to be must-see theater. Let me tell you that right now, must-see theater. I'm going to hang out here for a little bit and wait for people to kind of come in and congregate so that we can have a little conversation. If you didn't watch last night's live stream over on the 11th House channel, I thought it was a pretty good showing. Actually, got into a lot of good stuff. We got into Sean Connery's chart and a bunch of other goodness. I just want to see what the response was from last night. Let's see what we got. Where to go? Oh, hold on. Let me go change my channel. My channel. 1.3 thousand views. Had a lot of purple going on last night. And I got 2 down votes, 158 on the up votes. Let's see. We got some good comments. So there's election day is smack in the middle of Scorpio. Energy flows between 2 poles. Shows why you're the man and why I listen to you faithfully. I've been thinking the same thing as the 4th of July and Halloween came and went without incident. Will the same be for election? I agree with you that it is a good possibility. I guess we shall see. A couple of days, I think Biden also fears he would be put through if he wins. So, yep, that's Uncle Glenn, comment from Uncle Glenn. I want to go back also to Friday's show and kind of do a little recap on Friday's show as well. And I want to use a comment from Friday's show to get into some more content. And here, let me just fire it up. Get back to the channel. And let's see, we go. Yeah, there's a really good comment from Friday's show that I want to pursue, and it opened up some very interesting doors for me in terms of some ideas around all this stuff. All right, so let's get into this. Let me see who's here. Do a little roll call. Let's see, who do we have? We've got there's Ian Barber, Misty Miner, Beth Berry, Jonas, PB in the house. There's McCuz, Sandra Wells, Laura D, JMP Love, Steve Mercer, Thor by the door. I'm going to give you a call today, Steve. Danica Rose is here, Garden Girl. 2 hours, girl. Morning to you. Let's see. Tea Time Matizia. Yes. Palestine Aquarius. Matizia, forward thinking. Seeing into the future. Prophetic abilities. I owe you a report. It'll be coming today. Let's see. Lils, what's happening there? DJ MC, what's happening, Papa? Tina Sherman in the house. Good morning, Tina. Double V, there she is. Dia dos Huertas. Too many already. You know, that's interesting. Like I said, I don't know if you caught it, though. I'll tell you what happened last night. There's Coach K. Hi, Coach K. T. Jordan here. Patrice Hensley. Hello, Patrice. Tamara Garth. Good morning, Tamara. Hope you're staying warm up there. Robbie Chopra, there he is. Good to see you, Rob. Lisa Marie, EC2189 Kaku. I choose not to war with useful idiots that U.S. designed to drag myself into. Good for you. Craig Corporon, what's going on, Craig? The Bisou, love the purple. You know the purple light. I was bathed in purple light last night. Nicholas Grimm is here. There's my man, Mike. Kathleen Warner-Leaf, nice to see you. Evan Taylor. Hello, Evan. Good to see you around. Teresa Blackburn. Let's see, did I miss anybody here in the initial kind of roll call? I think I got most of everybody. I'm sure we'll have picking up some more peeps along the way. But we have Steve here. Mr. Thor by the door. Is he in? There he is. There's my man. Okay. So why don't we get cracking? Let's just get going. I was just watching the last show, Gotham Palace, and now we are live. Catch up later. I'm so behind on everything. You're not the only one. Trust me. Maybe I should go full hood today. Maybe I should go secret society look. Should I do that? Somehow bring in the secret society look with the hood and the cap? No, I don't think so. I'll just go straight cap. By the way, if you like the cap, and a lot of you have said that you like the cap, this is from, I got to get it right because everything's backwards. Oh, man. Okay. This is from Hope Easton, and this is Hope 2020. It is the name of her new CD, which you can get at hopeeaston.com, and she is selling these caps. She has red and blue, so I thought I'd wear it today, and because I wore it on, I think I wore it on Friday. Is that right? I think I wore it on Friday, and a lot of you guys really like the cap, and you wanted to figure out where you could get it from, and I'll leave the link to Hope's page. So there's a red version and a blue version, so that you can kind of go in either direction, right? And you can help support her and check out her music as well. So there we go. Let's see. Hey, there's Luann. Power outage since yesterday till midnight. Trump in town just in time for voting 2000. Wow. Think of all the possibilities. Ballots switched, right? Switches flipped. A lot of stuff in the air. Benjamin Hunt, coming at us all the way from Oregon. There's Renee. Hi, Renee. Morning, Benjamin. All right. Hope's hats are back ordered now. Ooh, how about that? How about that? So Hope, I told Hope, I said, Hope, I think you've got a new career. Cap maker. There you go. And by the way, these caps are good for at least another 2 months, right? At least another 2 months. So you can get some mileage out of these caps. I think Hope's ready to reinvest and put a few more out there. I don't know about Hope 2021. It doesn't have quite the ring as Hope 2020 does, but she also has music too. So check that out. Okay, so let's do a little invocation here. He's supposed to be in Kenosha at 6. Man, I'm going to show you some Trump footage. Some of the parades and stuff. It's like off the charts. I've never seen anything like this ever for any president. Period. End of story. In my lifetime, and I've seen a lot of elections, and maybe the closest that people got was, the first run of Barack Obama. The second run of Barack Obama was not as enthusiastic. It really wasn't. And there are some people who believe that Mitt Romney actually won that election, and that there was enough kind of foul play involved that, and Romney doesn't give a shit. He'll blow any way the wind sort of directs him to. So if it was important for him to just stand down, he would stand down. He's a lame-ass candidate anyway. God. Those ears, the Mitt Romney ears. Never trust a man whose ears are much smaller than his head and then attached. I think those are not trustworthy ears. All right, here we go. Dear blessed and holy Mother, Father God of the great central sun, which is the universal light, the light of Yeshua, Sananda, Emmanuel, we ask that only the highest and best information and truth come through this channel at this time, and that the qualities of strength and fortitude, and commitment, courage, flexibility, perspective, perception, discernment, endurance, joy, creativity, imagination, novelty, wisdom and truth, humor, intellect, empathy, compassion, and above all, love. We ask that any karmic residue be cleansed, purified, clarified, and that we're all blessed and graced by these qualities and released from any contracts in this moment in time and moving forward with those who seek to contract with us, with which we do not consent. All right, so let's get going. So in the mind of this contract stuff, I want to go back to Friday as we are really here now in the last day of Mercury retrograde. Tomorrow goes station, and then on the next day, the 4th, we got Mercury direct. So it's the last day of Mercury retrograde. So I want to go back to Friday's show, and let me see if I can bring up the comment. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to go here, and I want to bring up a comment from. It's a really good comment. It's a very, very good comment. This is with from Kirsten Kellogg. So this is what Kirsten has to say, and I replied to her, and some really good observations and commentary. So Kirsten says, FYI, James McBride, Divine Province, also claimed Postmaster General position after obtaining the seal of Peter from the Vatican. See 3-minute video on ABC News website. He ended up in prison and was released after about 2 years. He helped various people get a allodial title to their properties. That means off the tax rolls, out of the public. So while he did everything right, he was still punished. From my knowledge, when David Wynn Miller was alive, from whom all the information in this video stems, I had friends who were consulted by David, and the only thing that came of their cases, e.g., one was a foreclosure case, was never resolved and actually got worse. The syntax stuff, while may have some truth to it, is not acknowledged by the military courts currently blanketing the U.S. jurisdiction. If the courts refuse to acknowledge the documents, it goes nowhere. Now, I did have a document from an online source. It wasn't that hard to find. It was from the state of Wisconsin, where David and Russell basically got thrown out of court. And I was going to bring that up to Russell on Friday. I didn't want Russell to feel like I was completely jumping him. Okay, because if I wanted to, I could have turned that into a kind of a guerrilla warfare kind of session, which I didn't really want to do, because there is part of me that wanted to find out really if there was a there with Russell. Okay, because I'm open, right? If there's a there, and I can see that there's a there, I'm willing to go there. All right, and I didn't. So I wanted to be very conscious, and I didn't want Russell to feel like I was kind of, attacking him. But at the same time, I also wanted him to respond to some claims, which I obviously brought to his attention via that email that was sent to me. So there is a document, and it wasn't that hard to find. And basically, the state of Wisconsin tossed he and David right out of court. So how effective is that? And the thing with a lot of this material and some of the things that I've encountered with it, and some of the how do I say this? I wouldn't call them failures or defeats, but let's just call them failures and defeats that Russell and David may have incurred. There's always some kind of piece that hasn't been either delivered or received, or the person involved didn't have enough training. I mean, so I didn't want to get into we'll prove this, and then Russell having to prove it and say, well, the court didn't recognize this because this happened, and David was at this point in his life and he didn't follow through on his contracts, or, because I could see where that was going to go. I could see sort of how, the evolution of proof was going to unfold. So I decided not to go there and not to push it with Russell too much. At the same time, I didn't really get a sense as to the real gravitas, like with Russell, and I get the love and the light and the breath and all that stuff. I mean, it's all, sort of feel good, and I think we all kind of want that. At the same time, we're in a realm where people are desperately trying to, escape the system or flee from the matrix. So there are a lot of people that are invested in trying to find ways out. And Russell has become a point person for a lot of people in that way. And there are some people who just absolutely, adore him and are devoted to his cause. And there are other people who think he's a complete con artist. I have not had a guest that has created as much polarity as Russell did on Friday. And even in the chat, it was like on fire. Charles, I think I wasn't paying attention, but apparently Charles and Mr. Cruz were kind of going at it. So you got to figure out where you weigh in on the stuff. So I'm going to go through a few things here, and I'm going to show you really what the Gordian knot with all this is. So let me continue. Okay. This method is not the key to the system. Okay. So here we go. Let me just go back. If the courts refuse to acknowledge documents, it goes nowhere. I would love for someone to talk about their experience changing dramatically after following this method, other than Gould and one who is not teaching / making money from the process. This method is not the way to exit the system. The reality was created at the beginning of the 1900s, and all of our estates are part of that public trust, hence how money is created with the collateral of the people. There is a private side and a public side, yes. How most people erroneously function, that is, that we're on the other side of that equation. The key is to learn the law based on natural law, because everything in this world is based on trust. See the Bible, the book of the law. Christ's message is trust law. Learn to operate from the private side and continuously educate yourself as to how to function from the position of natural man or woman rather than a fictitious person created by the state. This is where you have your name in all capital letters on your birth certificate, right? You have to reclaim your name. And this is what Russell was alluding to when I brought up that email, and he made the claim that that person had not reclaimed their birth certificate, right? So that automatically disqualified them as being able to question Russell in that way. Well, he doesn't know that per se. He's assuming that. And again, I'm not here to bash Russell, because I don't think it's always cool to bash somebody who's not here to defend themselves. But that was an assumption. It was an immediate assumption that they did not reclaim their birth certificate. So therefore, their commentary was invalid, which and there was more to that email, by the way, which I left out. And I was just trying to stick to the details. There was other stuff in that email which explicitly was directed towards Russell, and I didn't bring it up. I just wanted to bring up the procedural stuff. I tried to keep it clean. So here we go. Let's keep going. Yes, the world of commerce will never go away because it is our inherent right to contract with whomever we desire. A basic knowledge of contract law is essential for life. This is true, period. This is absolutely true. Without it, one is a target for those men, women, and corporations who make claims without basis and hold others liable for handing over assets. One of the biggest mistakes in our modern culture is incompetence when it comes to our rights and how to effectively stand upon them. Absolutely. And it can be as simple as when you're pulled over by a cop. You don't even have to talk to that guy, right? You don't have to talk to him, or woman for that matter. But if you choose to talk to them, then I would reveal as little information as possible. Keep it very high level, very high level. You don't even really have to show them your license. I mean, theoretically. Sometimes that can be problematic, especially depending upon where you are. But you don't have to really say anything. There's a limit to what you can tell them. Like one night I got pulled over by a guy in Bee Cave in just outside of Austin. It's a little town. They have nothing to do. And I actually I was drinking during that period, but I wasn't drinking a lot. I think I'd had a couple glasses of wine. And I was coming out of Woody's. I was watching the Monday Night Football game there. So it wasn't like I was completely sauced, but I think I had, I was kind of on the border. It wasn't like I probably wouldn't have blown, over the limit, but I didn't want to deal with it, right? If I was sober during that time, he asked me some ridiculous questions. Where was I? Where do I live? What do I do for a living? I mean, all this shit, right? And it's like, it's none of his fucking business. But because I was in a kind of a slightly vulnerable place, I answered his questions for the most part. Some I didn't answer. But they have no right to ask you any of those questions. None whatsoever. And at the end of the day, you can say, all right, are you going to give me a citation or a violation? If you're not going to give me a citation or a violation, am I free? Am I free to travel? Am I free to go? Right. So you're putting the onus on them, and they can say, I'm going to give you a citation or violation, or they say you're free to go. Just remember, you don't have to tell them anything. Anything. Baseline, if you want, you can give them your license and insurance, whatever. You're in that system, right? Anything above and beyond that, you don't have to say a damn thing. Just remember that. So I really like Kristen's comments. Okay. I thought it was great. So I wanted to look into this guy, this James McBride. So I found that interview with James McBride, and I'm going to play it for you. It's quite interesting. And let me get rid of this. And let me get rid of this. And what do we have here? Get rid of that. I probably want to talk about that at some point. And where am I here? That's the Russell interview. Let's see. Then he went on to do an interview. I think it was the same day or the day after with David Avocado Wolf, which I thought was interesting. Okay, let's get rid of that. And let's see, where are we? Got that. Okay, got that. What's this one? Got that. Got that. All right. So I'm just going to go back into the. I'm not going to go find this thing again. All right, hold on. We're getting there. We are getting there. It is happening. Yep, got that. Okay. Got that. All right. So I'm going to go back into my page here. And I'm going to get back into those links because it's the video that Kristen talks about with this guy James McBride, and I want to play it because it's interesting, and I'm going to show you kind of where we are and why there is a Gordian knot in a lot of ways to as it relates to exiting this hell realm of contracts, which most of which we have consented to without any kind of conscious consent or foreknowledge or awareness of our consent. And again, the biggest example is going to be the birth certificate. Okay, so I'm going to play this for you guys. And so this is the individual that she's referring to, James McBride. All right. And I think it's certainly interesting. And I'm not going to, bash it or trash it. But we'll just go ahead and listen to this interview. And here we go.
And what can you do with this?
It authorizes me to operate from the chair of St. Peter. This makes me the primary trustee of the world.
When the rubber hits the road, what does that really mean?
It means I can now give orders or issue decrees that the Vatican and the Roman Curia must follow and must trickle down and will trickle down throughout the courts, throughout the entire governments of the world.
Meet James McBride. He's the leader of a group called Divine Providence. McBride is an ex-con who's done time for cocaine importation and run-ins with the IRS. He claims he hasn't paid federal income taxes in 26 years. He also says he simply does not deal with the government.
And you teach other people how to do the same thing.
Correct. How to operate in the private and in peace.
As part of operating in peace, McBride encourages followers to fly a white flag.
Of course, the white flag is a white flag of peace, and that's what we promote the use of that. And a lot of people think it's a flag of surrender, but we see it as a flag of peace because there's no markings on it. There's no contracts. Every flag or every stripe or star or anything symbol that you put on a flag means you have some kind of loyalty or citizenship to something. This means you have no contracts. You got a clean sheet.
There are other symbols of divine providence. Pass McBride's SUV on the street and you will instantly notice his distinctive license plates.
It's a private country code issued by and through the Universal Postal Union, which is DVN DP 999. That is Divine Providence, is the 3-letter designator, and DP is, and then 999 is the economic designator for our country.
Remember that number, 999. Just remember that number. It's going to play a part in another part of this show. Here we go.
McBride also shows us his Divine Providence driver's license.
How is it that you don't have a driver's license, don't have license plates, don't pay your income taxes, and you're not in jail?
Because it's lawful. Because I'm not involved in commerce.
But when the cops pull you over and you don't have a license plate, they don't.
I've been stopped 5 or 6 times, and every time they give me my driver's license back, and they say, "Have a good day. Please slow down."
Really?
Yes.
How did you get into this stuff?
I've studied this for my entire life. I came here. This is my mission in life. That's why I'm here.
Where is this going? In your view, what's the end point of this whole movement you're starting?
A world of peace. That's my only objective.
But if everybody
Peace.
signs up to your agenda here, the current power structures would not be able to be in place anymore.
Wouldn't that be a wonderful world?
So that's James McBride. Now, so I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. This guy's interesting. So I decided to go online and peek around and pop around and poke around, pop in and poke around. So then I found this other website. There's always this other website. And this other website is right here. You go back. One more. And let's go one more. Let's see. Maybe we got one more. How about one more? Yes, here we go. So now we're in a website called reignoftheheavens.org. Warning, this so-called divine providence in James McBride is a total fraud. This is back in 2013. Quote, James McBride took what he learned before and during his stay with Keith Livingway, GPO, is doing a fine job developing divine providence. I would like to watch this develop. Very promising, end quote. So then here are some facts I've discovered about James McBride and his cult. Divine Providence cult is claiming to speak for the Pope of the Catholic Church without any proof of power of attorney from Vatican, signed and sealed by the Pope. James McBride is a self-appointed Postmaster General of NA, and it goes on and on. James McBride is using the coat of arms of a dead Pope of another country without any proof of authority to act. So this is, again, we're into Russell J. Gould territory. James McBride is a convicted felon for trafficking cocaine. We all make mistakes. James McBride steals valid information and manipulates it into an abomination intended to cause harm to his victims. James McBride's fraud agents, good people that believe in freedom, fraud ranges from $9.95 to $150 to receive his bogus information. James McBride claims to have secret accounts, promising big money for people. And this goes on and on and on and on. So I'm like, okay, well, what is this thing all about? So click through here, and it's like, welcome to the Reign of the Heavens Society Temple. The origins of this temple are in the following video, which I have not watched, by the way, with an overlay survey with the Christian religion. However, truth is told in this video. We are the successor followers of the way, the truth, and the life, and not to be confused with Christians, although we are not against Christians in any way. Christianity did not exist until 300 years after the Temple of James was built. Okay, got a nice little sticker offer there if you want a sticker. Ontario, California, get your sticker there. So now we hit I guess they have a flag. There's their flag, purple and blue and purple. Well, purple's a symbol, so is blue, and I guess we can all agree that now they're attached to some kind of symbolic representation. They have temple meetings, right? Looks like every Thursday night, 9 p.m. UTC. So let's go here. One more click. There is a public registry. Okay, so what is a public registry? Go a little bit further. I'm new here. Temple transition process, certificates of dedication, minister certificates. Let's keep going. Temple transition process. So this is how it all begins, right? They have a little thing. Do you accept Yeshua, Jesus Christ, as your Messiah, Lord and Savior? Yes or no. Drop down, electronic signature. So let's say you do all that. Where does it take you? Well, you get your citizenship certificate. Well, how about that? I didn't do it, but this is where it takes you. Date accepted, 37th year of Yahweh, 6020. Type of citizenship, reign citizen. There's a certificate number, location number, whole 9 yards, fraternal order of the heaven, reign of heaven, of the reign of the heaven society. And this is Keith Livingway, trustee. So there we go. This is kind of what you get, right? This is, I guess, Bennett Charles Formanak. And what I did is I looked. Apparently, these are people that have gone through this certification process. So we have citizen certificate, Adam Samuel Ben Kenan, citizen certificate, hyphen Al Johnson, citizen certificate, hyphen Alice Senaceros. And this is the one that I was looking at, which was Bennett Charles Formanek. So this is what you get right here. All right. So the reason I'm taking it down this rabbit hole is because it all starts with Russell J. Gould. And then we have sort of this one persona connected to David Wynn-Miller, who create the Parse language system. Russell brings in the now concept of the quantum. And supposedly that's going to be the thing that's going to be able to deliver to you your understanding of language and contracts, and then provides you with your passkey out of the matrix. Now we have James McBride, who is or has been doing something similar. Now, I don't know the validity of James McBride. I'm not here I haven't had him on my show. I haven't talked with him. So I don't know really a whole lot about him, until really he was brought to my attention by Kirsten's comment. But then I go through and I click and I look for James McBride online and I find that site. Okay. So for me, this is really sort of the crux of why this stuff doesn't move forward. It's because there's always somebody who claims to have something, and that something is the key to unlock your prison cell door to the matrix and allow you to be free. Okay. Now, Russell claims to have it. This guy, James McBride, claims to have it. This other group claims to have it. And it's all like these balkanized satellite authorities. and nobody's really on the same page, and everybody's accusing the other. I don't think Russell is accusing anybody of anything, at least not to my knowledge. Then you have Anna von Reitz, you have her group. I mean, so there's a lot going on in this area, but none of them are really aligned. None of them are really aligned. None of them are all working together towards the same goal. They're all kind of disqualifying each other along the way. No. We've got the right system. We have the right documents. We have the right way of doing things. They're just scamming. They're just, they're just taking the, well, everybody takes something, right? Like I didn't fucking invent astrology. Okay. I did not invent astrology, but I bring my own kind of perspective and point of view and my interpretation to that. So nobody really invents anything really per se. But what people do is they can add or color or bring their own kind of brand or interpretation, as long as it doesn't, as long as I'm not completely bastardizing astrology and making things up, it doesn't really, I can invest in, being able to experiment and look at other combinations and different ways to synthesize the material, which I do. But that doesn't, but I'm not straying too far. I'm not getting too far off the res. You get too far off the res and there's no absolute correlation to anything. So I think there should be some latitude when it comes to interpretation and or application of these things that these people talk about and theoretically practice. But the big problem is that none of them are on the same page. And that's why I think ultimately it doesn't work or has not worked to the degree that we would like it to. Because everybody wants a key out. Well, I don't know if everybody. I think some people like being in the matrix. Some people like being told what to do. Some people like to have, more than enough egregious limitations placed upon them by third parties. And until those people are ready and able to accept the fact that there's another reality out there, they're going to remain there because it's safe and it's comfortable, and they'll put a mask on and they'll walk outside and they'll think they're doing their part. But for those who want to be able to exit the matrix, like there should be some cohesion, some coherence, right? Cohesion and coherence. And from what I've seen, it's nothing but these disparate groups, individuals are nothing but a war party. And I think to go down that path is an interesting one. And I think people should explore it. There's a guy that's on Crow who apparently is quite good. And I'd like to have him on the show because I'd like to explore more of this and the pitfalls. And the other thing too, here's the other thing. And I was thinking about this. There's a hack for everything, right? There is a hack for everything. And what the quantum language and parsec syntax and natural law and the aggregate of these systems is a hack to the contract and trust-based law that everybody has been born into without their consent and unwittingly by having that birth certificate with your capitalized name on that, right? So what they're trying to do is hack that system. But in order to hack that system, it's sort of like if you were to go back in time and you were to use a punch card computer. I really feel like this is where the technology for that is at. It's like, let's get the punch card computer and let's run a bunch of punch card computers, and then we'll use computers that still run magnetic tape in order to get through that system. And I think that there should be a hack even to that, right? So they're trying to hack the framework of consent. But in order to do that, you've got to spend 10, 15, 20 years theoretically understanding these concepts. And I think grounding yourself in those concepts is important. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you need to learn how to play you need to learn how to play a few chords before you can sing a song. I mean, that's, if you're going to, talk about astrology, you got to know how it works theoretically before you start, spinning off. That said, I think there should be a hack for the hack. That we're at a point in time where everything is hackable. You know, we're living literally in a society where there's key codes and hack codes and cheat codes for everything. So somewhere between not knowing anything and between studying 20 years and making this thing like just the all-consuming leviathan of one's life, there's got to be this point in between where at a certain point you know enough, and then you hit a button, and then you're able to like circumnavigate everything very, very quickly, because we need to get up to speed to that as fast as possible. And by the way, that is contrary to everything that's happening to the election, with the election, and to some degree the cult of personality, which is associated with the election, which I'm going to get into a little bit. So I just want to put a bow on Friday's show. And again, I want to thank Russell for being a part of the show. And if you are interested in continuing to follow him and follow up his material, the links are out there. You can just look him up. There's a link to his website and his video channel on Friday's show. So there's plenty of things out there. One of the things I did want to mention before I completely leave this topic is I ran across this guy. Well, it's not really a guy per se, but it's an individual. And this will give you, I think, some understanding and background what we're talking about. Okay. So there's a guy by the name of Jonathan May. And I'm going to show you a little bit about his story, because this is really where this stuff began to grab me. And so Jonathan May sentenced to 10 years in prison. This was in 1987. I don't want this. An Englishman who pledged to use ancient British trust law to make low-interest loans to farmers has been sentenced to 10 years in prison for his conviction on mail fraud and related charges. Jonathan May, 37, was sentenced Friday by U.S. District Court Judge Diana Murphy to concurrent 5-year sentences on each 4 mail fraud counts. A federal jury in November convicted May of sending 200 cashier's checks totaling some $6.5 million to out-of-state associates to buy expensive cars, blah, 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 blah. The checks were printed with the name of the holding company for the defunct state bank of Boyd. May had said he would purchase the bank using $1.6 billion in assets from a secret trust established by King Charles in 1647. Okay, so this guy goes to jail, all right? And I first found out about him through Bill Cooper. And there's a whole chapter on Jonathan May. And Behold a Pale Horse, which was Bill Cooper's book. So you can even find it right here if you want to read it. So Behold a Pale Horse, Chapter 16, The Story of Jonathan May, Summary and Analysis. Chapter 16 presents a 27-page autobiographical statement written by one Jonathan May. The statement is apparently intended to be utilized for legal purposes and is dated July 1990. Cooper introduces the document by noting that May attempted unsuccessfully to circumvent the Federal Reserve Bank by organizing an alternative banking system. According to Cooper, May was subsequently hazed and purposely entrapped by the government in order to usurp his idea of the World Conservation Bank, which would be an integral component of the New World Order. It is worth noting that Cooper apparently feels that May's attempt was patriotic, whereas a putative World Conservation Bank is sinister, even though Cooper claims they are the same structure. May's story begins in England and details discovery of an ancient document dating back to 1647. So you can find some of this online, probably get the real PDF or something like that. Here's a guy he reads this whole story, apparently, How long was this? Hank McGurk, Bill Cooper, read by Hank McGurk. So if you want to listen to this, you can find it here. I'll leave a link to that. So the whole idea behind this Jonathan May thing is that he found a number of trusts and came into possession of these trusts, and going back to the Dutch East India Trading Company, and was going to use those trusts in order to create a different banking and monetary system. This is also connected to the section in the book that's related to John F. Kennedy, the Hunt brothers, and John Connally wanting to create virtually a new silver standard. They were going to relocate the National Treasury here in the state of Texas, which has a renewable treaty with the United States every single year. People don't know that. So, this is when I started to get into this material, started to read about it, and that was in 1990. I got the first copy of Behold a Pale Horse. I still have it. And so this stuff has been around for a while. And, that's an interesting rabbit hole if you want to go down into it. And it seems like everybody that gets into that space winds up either doing prison time or getting continuously harassed. And I'm not saying not to do that, okay? Because freedom is something worth fighting for. And if that's the path you're going to take and you're going to go down that path, then you should know what's in store for you, what's ahead of you. And I have seen people go the sovereign route, and they have been they've suffered pretty tremendously in some cases. In other cases, lesser. I have a really good friend, smart guy, knew exactly he thought what he was doing, and he got bitch slapped by the IRS in a big way, really, really big way. And I think he had to eventually wind up, paying them a lot of money. So, whatever he did, he either missed a step or there was something where they just didn't recognize it. There was a guy that used to come to my website a lot, and he was very interesting. And he did exactly what I believe Russell and a number of those other people were attempting to do. And according to him, he was quite successful at it. And it's been a long time since I've connected with him, particularly because I've been doing more videos and writing. But it'd be interesting to see where he is. And there's another guy who I would like to have on the show, and I don't mind mentioning his name, Spencer Barkley, who I have done some readings with, and Spencer has agreed to be a guest at some point in the future, but he's always sort of backed off. And Spencer has been doing the same kind of work, and he told me that he actually went to the Vatican and served the Pope and did a bunch of stuff. And apparently, this is where people go. They go to the Vatican, and they serve the Pope with some documentation, some certification, some announcement, right? And then things unfold from there. I'd love to have Spencer on the show and find out kind of where he is with all of this. So that's about all I got with this topic. I just wanted to put a bow on it. It's worth exploring, and I'm sure I'll have some guests on in the future who have some experience in this world. Maybe I can work with the fellow who is doing a lot of work with Crow, get him on and start to talk, because I think it is important. The language of consent and contract is vital. It's a vital, vital piece of information that everybody should know, and how it affects you on a day-to-day level. The language of consent. One of the fundamental things that I have taught people, especially people who are in the realm of doing healing work, one-on-one work, astrological work, is that you never tell a person what you think about what they're doing unless you get consent. So it would be something along the lines of, would you mind if I shared with you my thoughts and ideas about what your experience is? If they say yes, you have consent, and then you have the freedom to share at that point. If you don't do that, you say, well, here's what I think is what's going on. and blah, blah, and blah, blah, and blah, blah. Number one, you don't have that individual's consent in order to share that, which is fundamental. Number two, if you don't have the consent, the pathway is not open. They're not going to hear a fucking thing you're saying, which is why I was very clear with Russell on 2 occasions on Friday's show. One was at the beginning of the show where I told him that I was going to bring some things up and I wasn't going to sort of jump him, and that I was looking for his consent. And I asked him, are you okay with that? He said, yes. Okay. So I got that out of the way. And then when it came to that very specific email that I read, I asked him for his consent again. And he said, yes. Right. So this is important. So this is the most important and fundamental thing to understand from today's show, that consent is the key to everything. And even in the most fundamental interpersonal transactions and communications with another individual being. And if somebody says and starts spouting off what they think of you, you can just say, well, wait a minute. I didn't ask you what you thought of me or what you're sharing with me. And I said, I did not, you can say, I did not give you any consent to share any insight or any perspective that you have. You can just pump the brakes on that real fast. And I said, you understand that you're telling me something, there's no consent here. So 95% of what you're saying is just going to bounce off of me like I've got Kevlar. So you can ask me if I want to hear what you have to say and whether or not I consent to it or not. That's another issue. So if you'd like to ask me, then you can say, oh, okay, well, would you like to hear what I have to say? Then it's up to you. You can say, quite frankly, no, because you just invalidated yourself by just spewing your opinion. Or you can say, sure, I wouldn't mind hearing what you have to say. Why not? Why not? Sure. Now, guess what happens with that? Then that person has a different pathway. Now they're conscious. Now they're thinking about what they're saying instead of just loading up the Gatling gun and cranking it, right? They're conscious. It sets up a completely different pathway of communication and a much more respectful one. Let me go back to Friday's show, and I'll show you another comment, which I thought was an interesting one, especially as it relates to the realm of consent. And this person may actually see my comment here or reference the comment. By the way, the comments are really worth going through and looking at on this. And where are we? I got to just really rack this thing back up. Give me one sec. Where are we? I'm going to get there. Unless the comment was removed. If the comment is removed, then I really can't reference it now, can I? All right, where are we? Somebody says, very great success. You talk about Islam and Muslims and Arabs. Great. Love it. I joined it 2015. It's so nice. Well, I didn't talk about it, but Russell didn't. If that's your thing, it's your thing. All right. So this here is another aspect of consent. All right. So again, this person, I've never seen them comment before. Perhaps they have. Maybe it passed by me. Please let him speak first, then speak, Rob. Cheers, mate. Okay, so he's telling me what to do. He's telling me what to do, or this person, it's a he or she. I'm not sure. They're telling me what to do, and they got a thumbs up. And my reply was, well, I am asking the questions. I am asking him the questions. And this is an interview show. So that's usually how it works. Maybe next time he can interview me. That way he can speak first and then I can speak. Cheers back. Far out people are intense. Don't accept your criticism. Then catch you later. Okay, you didn't ask me if I wanted your criticism. Rob, would you like to hear what I have to say about how you interviewed Russell? I'm like, okay, sure, lay it on me. But, he just comes right up, blast, bang, right? Did I consent to this? Well, at some level, yes, because it's a forum, right? You can post your comments, but then I can reply. And I said, catch you later, and nice, right? Fire up people are intense. Don't accept the criticisms. Then catch you later. Well, I really don't accept the criticism, because guess what? I didn't give you any consent to ask me that, right? You're just criticizing my work, and that's okay. You can criticize my work. I don't give a shit. If I'm doing a shitty job, then you know what? But ask. You want to hear some feedback? Do you want to hear some feedback? And I'm really good at answering replies in the comment section. Sure, I'll hear some feedback. Now, guess what? We have a pathway. We have a consent. We have a contract in that moment. You're asking, I'm ready to receive. Now we have a dialogue. And that pathway opens up a completely different type of communication. Completely different. And, it is an interview show. It's not like it's turn on the, hit record and let Russell talk. And then I reply to his talk. No, it's an interview show. I'm interviewing him. He's not interviewing me. This is how it works. The structure works. And by the way, there was a I had a plan going into the interview with Russell. There were things I wanted to talk about, and there was a certain type of cadence and technique that I wanted to establish with Russell, so that I could kind of expand it as much as I could, but also drill down as much as possible. You see, there's forethought that goes into these things. I've been doing this for a long time, a very long time, and I've sat in front of some, across from some very intense and, very powerful people. I interviewed David Bowie, in the offices of Virgin Records. Okay. So, and I would say David Bowie's, in his own right, is pretty fucking powerful. So, like I said, there was a kind of a method to what I was doing in that interview with Russell. And I think it worked out really well. And for people that are Russell fans, they're still going to be Russell fans. For people that are intrigued by the idea, there's trails of information that you can go find and follow. And for other people who are not into it, you can move on. And that's how it is. And now I'm moving on from Friday's show. Okay, so where do we go from here? You remember I said to remember the number 999, right? That I was going to talk about it later in the show. Okay, well, get ready. Here comes the 999. It's going to be very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Let me see, where are we? Here we go. Check this out. 9/11/2001 to Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020, 999 weeks. Wow. 999 weeks. That's interesting. So what does that all mean? The inversion of the beast system, because one could make a case, oh, well, 999 is 666 upside down. Or does it represent the potential for the ending of a cycle that started on 9/11/2001? Interesting stuff, huh? And then we have the license plate with Divine Province 999. Right? And that all happened. That the whole 999 thing just all happened this morning. Like I just kind of stumbled onto it. So is there a there? And what is the there? What is the there? Are we going to end the purgatory phase, which began on 9/11/2001? Because 9 is the number of ending. It is the end of a cycle. And we are definitely in the end of a cycle. This is 2020. This is judgment. Judgment times 2. This is judgment squared. So 2021 is the apotheosis. It is 2021. If we just look at 21, it is the world card in the major arcana. If you add up 2021 It's a 5, and then it's the Hierophant, and that is the Pope in the deck. That is the Pope in the deck, and I'm pretty sure that Donald Trump is anti-Pope, and I think the new Pope of Europe is Klaus Schwab. He's the new Pope of Europe. He's the Pope of the new religion, and the Pope that's in the Vatican is there to support Klaus Schwab and the transition into the Fourth Industrial Revolution. No doubt. No doubt. I want to play a few more things here today for you. And what do we have here? So I've been watching some of the Trump rallies, and they're nuts. They're totally nuts. I've never seen an outpouring of devotion and support and passion for any president ever like this, ever. I've never seen anything like this. And there's a good side to it, and there's a not so good side to it. The good side is that people actually give a shit, right? And they think that like it is rousing us out of our apathy. And even on the left, the so-called left, with the Antifans and the Blimmers, they have been risen. They have been shaken out of their apathy, and the right has been shaken out of their. So whether you are into this political game or not, it has shaken us out of our apathy, which I think is a good thing. Now, what happens after that is a whole other story, and we're going to find out. But I've never seen a mass movement, and really, we talk about synthetic and astroturf movements. Like the Tea Party starts off as kind of an organic thing. People are pissed off. Nobody's listening to them. So they start the Tea Party, and what happens? They get completely astroturfed, and they start moving in these clowns like Marco Rubio, and it's kind of there to hijack the whole thing. And it becomes this kind of watered down sort of effort to keep, government in check and have less government, not flat out libertarians, because libertarians believe in something completely different. But it's kind of the edge of extremism with the Tea Party. And also with a lot of the BLM stuff and Antifa, completely synthetic and astroturf, although using the kindling of the human experience and frustration in order to further those revolutionary movements and causes. But this thing is completely different. It's like, I've never seen the amount of like the Trump trains and the Trump parades. I've never seen anything like this. And the amount of people that are turning out at these rallies is, I think it's even bigger than what he had in 2016. This is like kind of mind blowing. So on the plus side, it's gotten people out of their apathy, and they actually care and give a shit. The minus side is that you're putting your allegiance into one person and hoping like hell that this one person can stand up for you, especially in the midst of the oncoming freight train of absolute global tyranny and the big brother state, which is going to be based on surveillance and having everything linked up to the 5G network and real-time observable data that they'll be culling from everything you do, from where you go online to where you go in town, even the components, like the molecular and chemical components of your feces. Like they're even talking about having smart toilets to be able to analyze your shit. Okay, this is where we're headed, and it's getting insane. Like they're going to bring cameras into your home. They're already there, whether you know it or not. But they're going to bring cameras into your home, and they will watch you in terms of social distancing. You think I'm going crossing the line here? I'm not. They will get into your home and they will monitor if you are too close to another person. That's exactly what they want. And they'll have a little voice and they'll say, please observe social distancing. Please observe social distancing. And that will be ubiquitous. That's exactly what they want. They don't want any of us touching one another. They don't want any of us coming into contact. They want to end humanity, period. End of story. Pull the plug, okay? So you better hope that if this thing goes through and Trump is elected, that he's up for the job, that this is really what he's going to do, and that he's not going to play ball with these absolute tyrants. That we are really it. We are the last bastion here. You can see what's been happening in Australia. You can see what's been happening in New Zealand. It's going to happen in Canada. It's starting to happen all across Europe. In France, you get 1 hour a day outside your house. 1 hour a day. In Britain, it's going to be just as bad. Nigel Farage is, kicking up his heels again, and he's starting to create this. We're going to take the Brexit Party, and we're actually going to deal with the Corona lockdown bullshit. I have to say I'm very disappointed in Boris Johnson. Very disappointed. So whatever happened to him with that Corona thing, he's not the same. I mean, he may be the same person, but he certainly doesn't have the same kind of attitude or belief of, trying to right the ship and, removing themselves from the EU or whatever, right? So, Trump better be up to the task. Now, the number 5, numerologically, as it relates to the minor arcana, it's a very difficult number. There is a lot of, all the 5s in the major arcana have to do with difficulties, worrying about your money, strife, the 5 of discs, worrying about your heartache, the 5 of cups, it's very sorrowful. Worrying about your thoughts, 5 of swords, like defeat, feeling defeat. And then the 5 of wands, being, your energy, your passion, your light as snuff. Now, what's interesting about the 5s from a tarot and symbolic perspective is that they are engaged in self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay. So if let's say you do tarot card readings and you pop a 5 in one of your readings, like the worst thing you can do is to buy into it. Okay. You have to look at it for what it is. And the 5s are all about facing your fear. That's what it's about. They're about facing your fear. It's like, okay, I'm willing to go through this. I'm willing to see what's there. Is this going to be a death sentence for me? You cannot do that because the power of the 5 is the self-fulfilling prophecy. You have to look at it, deal with it, see it, and come up with a solution. That's what it's about. Now, the administrator of the 5s is the Hierophant because he is the 5th card in the deck. So theoretically, what the Hierophant does is he attends to human suffering. So what does that mean? You become your own Hierophant. You become your own priest. You attend to your own suffering. And this was the message of Sananda, right? You do not have to be a member. You don't have to be a Pharisee. You do not have to be the Sanhedrin, which is a judge. You don't have to be any of these things. So you can be that and more. And so you get to administrate over your own difficulties and your own sorrows and your own challenges. And when you do that, guess what? You are inviting this idea of the Holy Spirit or the Spirit within to come to your aid, right? And a lot of forgiveness has to come through that channel. A lot of forgiveness has to come through that channel. Also, it is a time where the individual should practice some level of structure and discipline in one's life. So that's going to be a theme in 2021, which is structuring some discipline and order in one's life. So if you have some nasty habits you want to give up, 2021 is your year to get rid of them. 2020 is really the year to throw off the shackles. If you haven't done it by 2020, 2021, you get to deal with it. If you have thrown off the shackles in 2020, then you can be a person that can act in the role of a hierophant, with consent, by the way, that you can be there for other people. You can administrate to their needs if you have thrown off the shackles and have experienced some form of samadhi liberation this year, because that's what this year was about. But we're all going to play that role in our own lives moving forward in 2021. Okay, so where are we now? So one of Trump's rallies, I'm going to play some Trump rally stuff. At one of Trump's rallies, he decides, speaking of hierophant, that's exactly what he is. He gets into Fauci. So the crowd is chanting, "Fire Fauci." Trump tells Florida rally he will sack coronavirus expert a little after the election. That's a big claim. So here we go. Donald Trump has told supporters he will fire his administration's top virus expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, after the crowd rally, after the crowd at a rally in Miami chanted for him to do so. Since the start of the pandemic, the president and Dr. Fauci have publicly disagreed on a number of points, though the epidemiologist has become a popular figure for his measured advice. Really, what's so measured about him? He's all over the fucking place. On Sunday evening, Mr. Trump rallied against media coverage of the coronavirus, adding that after Tuesday's election, you won't hear much about it. Isn't that interesting? As soon as Trump said this, his supporters, many of whom were without masks, started chanting, "Fire Fauci." Mr. Trump stayed silent during the chants, after which he told the crowd, "Don't tell anybody. Let me wait a little bit after the election. I appreciate the advice." Over the last few months, the relationship between the president and the leading expert in the U.S.'s coronavirus task force have steadily worsened. I mean, he's a poser. Tony Fauci is a poser. He's a poser. And he's been all over the coronavirus like a pinball machine. Oh, masks work. Oh, masks don't work. Lockdowns work. Lockdowns don't work. You know, it's like so contradictory, which is, by the way, intentional. It's totally intentional. So I'm going to play you a couple of things here, and one of which it will show you the intensity of these Trump rallies. I've never seen anything like this before. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to play you another video, which might be the strangest and most enigmatic video you will see in 2020, maybe even your life. Okay. So I'm going to give you two videos. One, which is just full blown, like hardcore, 40,000 foot view of these rallies and these trains and parades. And the other will be a little bit different. But before I do that, let me check in with you guys. Let's see. Click here for printable lobotomy voucher. See, you crack me up. All right, I got to go into the void because I want to see your comments. All right, here I go. Blinking out of space time. I'm back. What a wonderful place the void is. Let's see, what do we have here? Fauci equals Smeagol. He really does, doesn't he, Michael? Really, really does. Fauci is so cringeworthy, unbelievable. People just glom on. I know they're always looking for people working for like the grandfatherly guy. Trump is always the harsh dad. Obama, I said this before, Obama was like the cool guy that your divorced mom started banging after she got a divorce. He'd come over maybe on the weekends, like hang out and, talk about hip hop and stuff like that, right? That's what Obama was. Trump is like the harsh dad. Oh, Fauci's the forgiving grandfather. Oh, please, Grandpa, tell us what we need to know. And your patient and kind and observant wisdom is much needed during these times. That's who Fauci is. Let's see, the whole thing. It's the whole outside savior thing. Check out YouTube, This Side of Donald Trump. The media does not want you to see. I like how Trump has gotten back in touch with the people after a month of rallies. I've never seen anything like it. It's kind of mind-blowing. Fauci has tater tot dick complex. Honey, you're too much. But that's why you're here, and that's why we love you. Hucklebuck 411, Gates must be the creepy uncle. Maybe Gates is the creepy aunt. Have you ever seen a 5 o'clock shadow on Bill Gates? I have never seen a 5 o'clock shadow on Bill Gates. Never. Never. Think about that. Isn't it interesting that number 5 is being used for the colorblind test? Interesting. Let's see what else. What else? What else do we have here? Christine, you guys are bad. That's why I love you. That's why I love you. Revenge of the Manlets. All right. So I'm going to play you this video of the Trump stuff. It's a very well produced video, obviously a little on the professional side, but man, it's really kind of mind blowing. Oh, should I get into this first? I'm going to save this for tomorrow. I'm going to get into the COVID passport stuff tomorrow, which I think is important. I think it's important. Let's see, where is... I think this is it right here. All right, here we go. Check this out. This will give you just a sliver and an idea of the energy, the passion, and the kind of the rekindling and the and the awakening of people. See, this is another part. Let me show you something. I'm going to show you kind of an esoteric representation of this. So let's look at, I'm going to show you the judgment card in the major arcana. I'm going to show you an image of it. And this is based on the Rider-Waite interpretation. So I want to show you something. And it really is indicative somewhat of, in some ways, of the time that we're in right now. So here we have judgment, which is, again, XX, which is 20, right? The two X's. And we are in 2020. And if you just look at the three sort of the three-part date, we just use 20, correct? But we have two 20s in 2020, so we have judgment. And here we have the dead being resurrected. And what's interesting is that it looks like this is water, and that their coffins are almost like boats. And we've seen a lot of these Trump parades actually being flotillas. But to me, this is really representative of the shaking, the shaking out. It's the awakening process. It is the call for the end to apathy. And I think we're seeing that now. And again, just to be fair, the so-called left has clearly not been apathetic. I mean, they have some very vigorous protests, if you know what I'm saying. And the right has their own version. So we are no longer in this state of slumber. We are no longer in this state, this narcoleptic state of our own experience. This is what 2020 is about. Now, they can always, theoretically move you to a different location, a simulacra of awakening, and that's all possible. But just kind of go with this metaphor here of not just the dead being risen from the grave, but it is the spirit that is being risen. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now I'm going to play you this video. Here we go. Hold on. I got to make sure you get the audio on this. 1 sec. Uno momento. I have to hit the share audio. Here we go. All right. Let's go. And away we go. That's Air Force One, obviously, over a golf course. And see what's going on there. But look at the numbers. Behold the pale horse. Or sort of pale. Now, I think there's a lot of things he could have done differently over the last 3 years, but I also think that he didn't have much of a path towards success based upon what they were throwing in front of him all the time. And the players that have been in the White House and around the White House for quite a long time. It's a very long process of theoretically draining the swamp, even if you think that maybe Trump is the swamp himself, which lends itself to the enigmatic quality of the man and sort of this emerging myth. But I don't care. Aside from all of that, I have never seen anything like that in my lifetime for any political figure. The only person that I've seen come close to that is who? It's Pope John. That's the only person I've ever seen in this lifetime. Maybe sort of the beginning of the Obama wave, but that wave crashed, and and that was just it. I've never seen anything like that in my lifetime for any political figure around the planet. Maybe Khomeini when he got back to Iran after all those so-called cassettes were smuggled in there, right? But I've never seen anything like that before. Nothing. I think Pope John's about as close as it gets, and but that was like basically the sort of the Catholic fervor for the guy. I would have never have gone. So this is beyond unusual, right? We're entering into territory that I don't think we've ever approached with one figure. And if somehow this election goes south, if Sleepy Joe doesn't concede and they decide that they want to throw a wrench in all this shit, right, and they want to run the clock out, what do you think all those people in those cars and those boats and those trucks are going to do? They're not going to be passive. I'm going to tell you that right now. They're not going to be passive. But if you watched last night's show, one of the things that I talked about was that we expected Halloween to kind of burn. And it kind of did, but it didn't burn in the way that I thought they would use that energy for. Clearly, the astrology for Halloween was just prime for a purge with the mask and the blue moon and the conjunction with Uranus. And Halloween was pretty quiet, actually. And then Walmart took its guns and ammo off the shelf because they feared that it was going to be that things were going to go hot. Well, guess what? Walmart put their guns and ammo back on their shelves. Something is in the air, even though Trump is putting a giant barricade around the White House. That's smart. You're going to want to do that anyway. Something is in the air, and it may not go exactly and as planned, right? It may not go exactly as planned. And we might see a Biden, you might see Biden just basically say, I concede. We might see that tomorrow night. Okay. I'm putting that out there. We got Mercury Station. A lot can happen in that space. All right. I'm going to play you one more video. And I'm telling you, this is one of the most bizarre, intriguing videos I've ever seen. It is like the most symbolic video of being in this world and not of it. Okay. If you want to see this thing in practice, watch this video. I'll come back and I'll end the show, but you guys are going to take this. Set the stage. This is in Barcelona, and there's a riot going on. Okay, because it's going to loop and play all the way through. I just find that video to be utterly amazing. Utterly amazing. That guy is in the center of the cyclone. And he is unflappable. Unflappable. So when everything is going to hell in a handbasket around you, just remember, you can be the center of the storm. And just be as placid and as peaceful as that guy gently playing. I think it's a Prince tune. Gently playing that song while the world goes mad all around him. All right. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about. I'm going to leave a link here if you want to support the stream. Put a link there in the description of the show if you want to do that. And then we got a lot of work ahead of me today, a lot of phone calls, a lot of website stuff. So have a great day. Use your head in order to discern what's real, your heart to stay up in what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix, and Robert _, asterisk, exclamation mark, question mark, Phoenix. Bye for now.